That noise all right, or do you want to, is that okay?
Listen to the microphone.
All right, thank you guys. We're going to get started here. We are here at Laundry Lockers. I want to introduce Arik Levy. He's the founder, CEO, who's part of the Jobs Now program.
All right. My name is Arik Levy. I'm the CEO and founder of Laundry Locker and a proud participant of the Jobs Now program. So we started the Jobs Now program about 4 months ago, and currently have several employees on the program. It's been fantastic for us. Kind of what happened to us was about a year ago, we built this facility. It's the largest dry cleaning plant in San Francisco, eco-friendly, state-of-the-art, over 10,000 square feet. And what happened was at that time, the economy really, hit us, and we were on a great trajectory, and things just sort of leveled out for us and didn't really go where we needed to do. We had to cut back on our employees and sort of, scale back like every business had done. And then ran into a person just randomly from the Jobs Now program, told me about the program, and it was just fantastic. It's really allowed us to bring on the extra staff that we needed, grow our business, and the last 2 months for us have been stellar. We're really seeing things recover. And the best thing about this program is that it's really helped us directly. It's helped our business get back online, and we're hoping that we'll be able to put these people to work full time and hire more people. We're putting together a whole marketing team based on this program. It's just been, I can't say enough good things about it. Honestly, it's sort of really impacting the small business and helping us grow and achieve our goals.
Appreciate it. And we'll come back to you because I'd love to have you flesh out exactly the process and the application of this federal stimulus program. So what we're talking about is a program we launched a number of months ago called Jobs Now. We now have 1,200 people that have jobs because of this initiative. Those are 1,200 that are primarily, not exclusively, in the private sector, supporting businesses like this. This is an initiative that comes out of the federal stimulus that hasn't gotten a lot of attention. In fact, hasn't been applied in many other cities to the degree that it's been applied here in San Francisco. In so many ways, we not only led, but we took some risks. Even before the details, and perhaps I shouldn't share this, but I will, because our director's here. But before they laid out the specific criteria, we jumped on this program, and we jumped in head first in terms of applying a strategy to recruit and to screen potential applicants, and then begin the process of matching those applicants with potential employers like Laundry Locker. As a consequence, we started in the mission. We started at a one-stop shop with a goal of about 1,000 employees, and we were hoping that by middle part of next year we'd hit 1,000 employees. We quickly learned that there was a real appetite for this and that we could scale this well beyond 2,000 jobs. Now, we're here at 1,200. We're not even in 2010. I would like to think we can do much better than 2,000 jobs. The point being, this is limitless. There is $1.8 billion that exists for this program in the state of California alone. And it's just a question of who draws those dollars down the fastest. We've drawn down about $25+ million already that we've brought into our local economy by subsidizing 100% of the wages for the employees that are being hired through this program. I'll repeat that. 100% of the wages. That's not including the benefits. The employer has to pick up the benefits, roughly 20% of the overall cost. But it's a program that in many respects is too good to be true. And that's the one limiting factor to us reaching even a more audacious goal of 5,000 jobs, is people don't believe it. People say, well, what's the catch? You only get jobs that pay $5 an hour, or $8 or $10 an hour. The fact is, no, there's no limitation on the salary. Now, there is no need to abuse that either. We don't want people to hire their brother or sister for $200,000 a year. That's why we have a screening process, and that's why we have a formula so we can establish a framework so there's not the kind of abuse that some may want to argue or process. But the fact is, if you're a $75,000 employee that was laid off a couple months ago and you want your job either back or you want a job in a similar position but in a different business, we can screen you as long as you have a dependent and as long as you're unemployed, and then we can match you to that job, and we will pay 100% of that salary. This arguably is the most significant program to come out of the federal stimulus plan. From my perspective, there's nothing else that comes close. And we are not experts, but I'll tell you, as a city and a county, uniquely positioned as a city and a county that's received close to $500 million of federal stimulus, I'll take $100 million over that $500 million, and I'll create 5 times more jobs than that $500 million created with this program. And I mean that not just figuratively, I mean that literally. If there's any part of the federal stimulus that needs to be extended, and I'm all for extending it based on our budget deficits coming up and the infrastructure needs of our city, this is it. And so our big push now is, this is a program that expires in September 2010, is to lobby to get it extended. We're already working on that. We're already making a strong case, so much so that the administration, the Obama administration, has gone out of their way to recognize San Francisco's specific efforts. In fact, you were on, Trent Royer, who's administering this. He was on a national conference call with the Health and Human Service Agency, or HSS, right? Undersecretary, who pointed out, said, take a look, to everyone listening, at what San Francisco's done with their Jobs Now program. So I'm really proud of that. We should be proud of that. And now cities are finally taking a look, and cities are starting to adopt a similar strategy. But the concern, again, expires September 2010. So the goal is to get it extended beyond that. The one criteria, again, unemployed with a dependent. The person doesn't even have to live with you. So if she or he is 17 years old, 15, 10, and it could be with your ex-husband or your ex-wife or whatever, or your partner that's living in another part of the state and you're on, I don't know, whatever the conditions, doesn't have to live with you. We would like, though, to also extend this to single adults. And so we're working with Speaker Pelosi. We're going to be advocating in Washington, D.C. I'll be out there, I think, next Tuesday or Wednesday, advocating for this program specifically and to get this reauthorized and extended. It meets, and I'll close with this, an interesting sweet spot in this sort of ideological debate about the stimulus. People that believe the stimulus has been too much government focused and subsidizing civil service, and those that believe it should be exclusively private sector. This blends this perfectly. Democrats will like the fact that we're subsidizing small businesses, creating real opportunities for people that are struggling, and particularly parents that are with dependents. But Republicans, on the more ideological front, will love that it's primarily a private sector initiative, that it creates real private sector jobs. This is not just about growing the size of government. So I think it finds a perfect blend, and that's why I think there's a real shot at getting this reauthorized and extended. But regardless, we're here to promote it, and we're thankful, sincerely. I mean this absolutely. I'm really appreciative you guys took the time to be here, because this is a big, big deal to people. We're going to do that not just by doing 100 more of these press conferences, to the extent you guys keep showing up, but we're also going to be doing a media campaign. Jobs Now, jobs are back, get yours today. It's an ad campaign you're going to see on Muni buses. You're going to see it in bus shelters. We've got a new website called jobsnowsf.org. I always say just call 311. It's easiest. But if you want to go online, jobsnowsf.org. We have over 3,000, David, people already screened. So we're ready to go. 3,500 now. What we need are businesses to take us seriously, like this gentleman, that this works, this is real, and these are really great employees. The one limiting factor in terms of people thinking it's too good to be true is that it's done in the welfare office. And that's just the way the federal dollars go. And it's not a knock at Trent, who we love, but people think, oh, these are just people that are coming off welfare. Quite the contrary. These are folks that were working, that have never been on welfare, never been on food stamps, never gotten any benefits, but somehow lost their job, that need a job back, and just, again, have a dependent and have no salary, or a salary that's lower than $3,000 a month, or income coming in that's less than $3,000 a month. That's a huge swath of people. These are educated folks. These are folks that are eager and willing to work. And so we just want to encourage people, again, to learn more about this. So that is why we came here to visit with you, because you've hired real folks. They're here. We're subsidizing your folks. You have to fill out a few pieces of paper. Is that laborious and torturous?
No, it's actually an incredibly easy process. So just from a process perspective, what we do is every Friday they hold a job fair. We go in there and we see, you know, last week I probably saw 30 applicants for 4 jobs that we have open right now. Talk to the people. If you like them, you just set up it's just like a regular interview. So you say, hey, you know, we just hired someone high road 2 weeks ago. Why don't you come in? I want to see if you can drive and do a little interview with you. Meet him here. If I like him, I pay him pretty much what I pay exactly what I pay all my other drivers. He's on the same benefits program. He's an employee to me like any of my other employees. Pretty much the only difference is at the end of the month, I send an invoice into Jobs Now and say, here's how much I paid Hyro, and they send me a check about 2 weeks later. So it's you know, it's real people that are getting real jobs, and these are jobs that we didn't have. There's no way we could afford to hire these people without this program. So we're putting them to work, and they're helping us grow our business. So it's really been a tremendous win-win from both sides.
We're going to ask Jennifer to come up here and say a few words participating in the program as well.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jennifer Schmidt, and I'm definitely somebody for whom the Jobs Now program has been incredibly successful. I think my story begins really quite typically. I was at a small nonprofit in Berkeley through last February and was laid off. And really started, I had a 2-year-old son, my partner and I have a 2-year-old son, and started to look for work exhaustively and found really from the time in February to when I entered the Jobs Now program, the job market shrank in front of my eyes. It was actually a very scary process to get up every day and get cover letters out and resumes and look in my industry and outside of my industry and look for sort of unconventional ways that I wouldn't have normally been looking for work, including trying to get some training through the Workforce Investment Act services, really having to get resourceful in ways that I haven't had to in the past. Because of the trying to get through the WIA services training money, I received a email from a job developer at Goodwill Industries about Jobs Now, and I was at that point in my job search where I was looking at any information coming in, and there was an email that said, are you a parent? Do you have this much income? All the list of the really 3 qualifications I think it is to enter Jobs Now. And I read the fine print and saw 100% wage subsidy. Are you kidding me? And immediately got on the phone and got an appointment at the Department of Human Services for the qualification process, which took place in early October, late September, early October. So I'd been looking for work since February. It had been a long process, while also watching our savings dwindle and taking care of our 2-year-old son. So I went in to the Department of Human Services having no idea what to expect. I brought my passport, my son's birth certificate, and the small pay stub I had from some contract work, and was approved on the spot. I was given a voucher that said that I was eligible for 100% wage subsidy, and it was up and go get a job. And I was also told that there were these workshops, which I believe you attend as well, that Jobs Now was putting on for employees to be matched with potential employers. And I attended one of those workshops, and a job was advertised at SF Works, which is a nonprofit in workforce and economic development. I looked at the qualifications. It looked like a good fit. The salary was fantastic for me and worked for our family. And within 3 weeks or so, I was back at work. Sort of as a personal aside, I have an advanced degree in urban planning, which I'd never been able to use. Most of my work experience is in film, and it's hard enough to break into a new industry when a market is up, but when a market is down, just forget about it. So for me to be able to not only to jumpstart my career and in a field that I've been wanting to get into, and I have the educational training, but not the work experience, has just been incredible for me. So it's been a win-win-win on every level. It's been a win-win-win for the employer on every level, and I'm just really glad that the mayor's office has taken this on. And you know, I'm not one to come to press conferences and tell my story, but I want to get the word out, and I want more people to take advantage of it on both sides, on the employer and the employee side. And you have to really pound the pavement to get the information, and I want it to be broadcast broadly so more people can participate. So thanks.
Thanks, sir.
Could you spell your name real quick?
SCH, Jennifer, Jennifer, Schmidt, SCH, MIDT.
And your age?
37.
And your neighborhood?
How can you get away with asking her how old she is? Unbelievable. Trent, just amplify.
Sure. I just want to reflect on, I think, why this hasn't gotten a lot of attention and why a lot of states really haven't participated. I mean, this is, I think, purely what was intended by the federal stimulus dollars, but it's flowing through the Health and Human Services Agency nationally, which is known locally as the Welfare Department, as the mayor mentioned. But what we're doing is so beyond what typically an agency like mine does. And if you look at the three goals that we laid out, both nationally and locally, we wanted to, most importantly, from my perspective, get income into the hands of low-income and no-income families, which we've done now for over 1,200 people, and we will for another at least 1,000. Average wage, that the mayor didn't note, in the private sector, over $20 an hour. $20.21 is the average wage. So we're not talking minimum wage, we're talking annual incomes of 40,000, north of 40,000, which granted is still low when you look at San Francisco, but it's a lot more than folks who've been on welfare have been used to. The second goal is certainly to stimulate the local economy. If we put 2,000 folks into jobs, given the average wages and the wage range that we're seeing now, over $50 million, $50 million will be pumped into the local economy, all federal dollars. And the third, and I think represented quite well here, is this type of program is helping small, medium, and large businesses stay afloat. You heard that the economic downturn hurt Laundry Locker, and this was really a way to get employees back, to begin to do some marketing, to really expand the business, and again with federal dollars. And so we're meeting those three goals locally. I'm on a call next week with the National Governors Association to talk about what we're doing to get other states interested, really to partner with us in lobbying for sort of different reasons. We want to extend our successful program. They want time to be able to ramp theirs up and start theirs, but we'll partner on that effort and hopefully get this well beyond September of 2010.
Today, just as an example, we were meeting, I think, David, you've organized 30 or 40 small business, met with Chamber, I mean, you name the groups, we've been meeting with them pretty consistently, and again, it's just really an education process. And Macy's is hiring up for the holiday season. I don't mean this in a pejorative sense or tongue-in-cheek, but I mean, every news organization here, I imagine, has had layoffs the last few years. You can hire a cameraman, you can hire a reporter. You can hire the same reporters you laid off a few months ago, and at least for the next year or so, you've got people who can write stories. I mean, it's that serious, it's that real. And again, there's nothing to stop. It's not $20, it could be $40 an hour. We had someone, it's a true story, that was offering, just the employer couldn't understand the fact completely that he could pay his employees whatever he wanted to. So he said, oh, it would just be $8.50 an hour. And they said, well, what do you pay other? Well, it's about $20 or $30 an hour. Oh, no, but it's $8.50. I said, no, you could pay them what you pay everyone else. He just couldn't accept that. And he actually, I think we had one employer, was it you who said you felt guilty?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, you came in, you did. This is amazing. A few weeks ago, he comes in, we have a little conversation, he said, I felt really guilty taking this money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it seemed too good to be true. One thing I wanted to say is just from an employer perspective, it's extremely easy to get set up on the program. You call the Jobs Now. I mean, they found me, or they saw my car, so it was real easy. But you just call them, and it's like a one-pager you fill out, and within like 2 days you're approved, and they say, boom, here's a list of people, send in some job applications. So it couldn't be easier. And there was, from my perspective, a big feeling of guilt and sort of like I just didn't want to take advantage of this program. After actually meeting with the mayor and this roundtable we were in the other day, I said, well, hell, I'm going to start a marketing team. And I hired a marketing person, and one of his jobs is to go find a bunch of people through Jobs Now to do local marketing for us, flyering, doing street teams, getting out there and getting the word out about our business, which is something we absolutely didn't have the funds to do, something we should be doing, something that's going to help our business tremendously. And hopefully a year from now, we're in a completely different position than we would have been. And a lot of that is thanks to the Jobs Now program. My name is Arik, A-R-I-K, Levy, L-E-V-Y, and the company is Laundry Locker.
And this, Trent just whispered in my ear, and this is significant, and this is a brand new change. We get something called these warn letters, where in big industry, so United lays a bunch of people off, they have to actually submit to the local government agencies a notice that they're going to be X number of people laid off. The criteria a few months ago with Jobs Now is you had to have already been laid off for a period of time, and then we can rehire you. Now the new criteria says if we get that warn notice, we can actually keep you hired, so you don't necessarily have to be laid off. So this could keep people employed. There doesn't have to be a gap in employment. So the new regulations actually strengthen this even further.
Do you hold with any of that, or what?
No, yeah, I mean, Rob, candidly, yes. I think those critiques are valid. I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to be a good party person, you know, and say the right things. It's absolutely legitimate. I mean, it's a fair critique. However, boy, look at this program. It's exactly the opposite. And I'll defend it. I don't even need to defend this. It's self-evident. I mean, Jennifer will tell you. We've got examples behind us. I mean, this thing is hiring real people in real time and real businesses in the private sector, generating real income and generating real stimulus in the local economies. So that's why I said I was not being completely, I mean this. I'd rather take the $500 million. If you gave us $100 million, maybe $200 million of the $500 million just for this program, I'd create 30 times more jobs than that $500 million created. If this was all about a job stimulus, the stimulus, clearly it wasn't all about jobs. Because if it was, we would have just done this program. We created millions of jobs in this country. It was about other things. I get that. We all get that. You've reported about that. And those are fair critiques. And I'll tell you, if we didn't have the stimulus last year, we would have had hundreds and hundreds more layoffs. I mean, the fact is we didn't necessarily create a lot of jobs, a few hundred with the stimulus money we got, but we certainly saved a lot. And I know, and I always say, unlike baseball and politics, you don't get credit for saves. The Obama administration and Congress deserve credit for the saves, but now it's not about saving jobs as much as it is about creating it. And so I think that the money needs to be redirected, and really stimulative effect will be in programs like Jobs Now.
So for San Francisco anyway, the stimulus.
This side, I mean, we did something no other city was really doing. We discovered a pot of gold within the stimulus, and it's really the leadership of Trent Rohr in his office, and David Shea came over and stepped it up. These guys really pulled something down that was really meaningful and substantive. And now other states, literally there's dozens of states that have done none of this, but it's availed to them. I think it's $5 billion. Nationwide, $1.8 billion alone in California. LA's finally now moving on this with a much bigger population, so you're going to start seeing the same thing down in Southern California. This is the most exciting part about the stimulus by a huge factor. Nothing else compares in the stimulus to creating meaningful, real jobs than this program. That's why privately we're saying this is such a big deal. We want to scream from the mountaintops. Look at this. This is real. This is serious. And this is an antidote to the critiques of the Obama administration and Congress, particularly Speaker Pelosi.
Mayor, this isn't intended to be a stimulus plan, so it seems as though there's a really big challenge if this isn't going to, the money isn't going to keep coming permanently, and so at some point you have, whether it's this September or the next September,
Right.
You have to make the transition,
Yeah.
and all of these employers who are then relying on the government to basically pay the salaries of their employees. I mean, how do you meet that challenge when it happens?
Well, I think and I think we will ask the employer in a second, but I think he said, when we started hiring, business was way down. Now we're starting to see things turn around. The hope and expectation is the economy begins to turn around and transition about the same time the money starts drying up, and then the opportunity to continue to hire these folks. And I imagine he grows his company through this marketing initiative. He'll have more revenue. As a consequence, he'll keep hopefully 100% of the employees that were subsidized, but maybe worst case 50% of the employees are subsidized. Had he not had the stimulating effect of these federal dollars, he wouldn't have had a marketing team. Business may not have grown as much, and he would be looking to lay people off as opposed to keep people hired. So that's the idea. It's a transition where we hope a lot of these employees are continued in their employment opportunities. And you can answer more specifically.
Yeah, I mean, as an employer, that's been very specifically a concern of mine. I don't just want to hire a bunch of people and then, a year from now, I can't afford them anymore, and then I fire them, and, our business is really hurt because of that. So, from a strategic perspective, the people I've been hiring, well, there's two sides of it. One is just jobs that I have to fill that I cut and, was sort of just covering myself as a small business owner. So there's some of those. And having those people has helped us grow our business. Our business has grown about 30-40% in the last 3 months. So significantly, I don't know what that's specifically attributable to. There's a lot of different factors, but it's been great. So that right there has covered the cost of some of these employees. It's additionally allowed us to go after some business that we wouldn't have brought on. Just because I didn't have the employees and I didn't know if it was going to make us money, some lower margin business that I probably would have gone after. That now I can get a free employee to go after that business. My margin's a lot better on it, and at the end of the day, a year from now, if that's not covering it, we can get rid of that business and the employee. But we've seen that it's actually been covering both of those, so that's been tremendous. The other side is now us using this program to go after marketing positions and sales positions, which in essence should really hopefully be able to cover the cost of those employees. So and if they're not, then either there's something wrong with our marketing program, or maybe we don't have good employees, the right employees doing it. But hopefully those people can bring in enough business to cover their income, and 6-12 months from now they'll absolutely have a job. I look at these employees as regular employees. There's nothing different. They don't get treated any differently. They all have health care. They're all part of the San Francisco sick pay program. And when a year or two from now the money runs out, we'll assess it then. And my hope and my plan and my goal is to keep those people on as regular employees.
Barbara, just let me say one more thing to your question. From the employee's point of view, when the money runs out, and if an employee isn't able to stay on his or her job, what that employee now has, though, that individual now has, is a year or more of work experience that he or she might not otherwise have had. Hopefully a good recommendation from an employer who couldn't keep them on, and an ability to compete in a better job market. So.
And then the other question I wanted to ask, your goal is 2,000 jobs.
It was one, then it's two. Candidly, it's 2,500 in our office, so maybe I can announce it 2,500.
Is there a maximum amount of money that you can get?
1.8 billion is what the state of California. Yeah, I mean the idea that we draw down all 1.8 billion in the state is very unlikely, considering that we're really been the first ones out of the gate, and we've only drawn down. I mean but less than 30 million, 1.8 billion alone. LA's got a couple thousand jobs. Again, much bigger market. So so we got a lot more money.
Area or city? It's just a
state. It's 5 billion nationally. There are two concerns. I mean, an interesting point Trent made. A lot of states want this extended so they can start it, and then a lot of states want it extended so they can keep going. My biggest concern is the argument against continuing it is that we didn't spend the money. And if you're a member of Congress, say, well, this program has billions of dollars left. Obviously, it didn't work. Let's pull it back. It's not working because people, I think, just are not familiarizing themselves with it. We're so focused on shovel-ready projects, right? Wasn't that the nomenclature? Shovel-ready projects, shovel-ready projects. And so we're all running out there to do infrastructure and get out our boots and go outside with our helmets. Really, where we should have been spending arguably more time was doing more of this. Because we could have hired substantially more people in real time in the private sector, and we would be, I think, a lot better off than we are. Though, again, I think we've done a lot.
Can you hire for city government? In other words, you've laid on.
Yeah, you can do it in city employees. Now, here's the challenge, Rob. It is classic challenge, right? Government challenge. Civil service, bumping, rules. Got to have, so if someone's laid off, they have seniority as a priority. And there's all kinds of, it just gets much more complicated, but the answer is yes. Our next round, though, not just government, is nonprofits. So I think next week we're meeting with a bunch of nonprofits, because the nonprofit sector's been hit very hard, and really starting to get them engaged, not just private business, but it is government as well. But
is there any plans to use it for?
We have.
Laid off 500
we
a
have.
week or two ago, and then.
Well, we never laid off 546 people. I can't believe this keeps getting reported out. It's not a knock at you. We never laid off 546 people. Just never happened. It's complete myth-making. We most likely will lay off less than 70 people. And it just, I guess if you just say something enough, these guys will start, you start writing it. But we have, there have been layoffs. You can use it, but again, there's a process, and the civil service system works oftentimes as a more challenging backdrop than going to the private sector. But we are hiring, we're hiring city employees back.
The one provision in the federal rule that just came out is you can't rehire someone who's been laid off for the exact same position. Otherwise, you'll have folks eliminating jobs coming back and saying, federal government pay for me. So what we've done is folks who are laid off, we find a similar position, right? Not the same position. Something that they have skills for. We do have a fairly substantial public sector trainee program under this, though. We've put over 250 folks into city jobs, recreation and park, human services, public health, in trainee type positions, doing work that otherwise wasn't being done, and they're getting a wage of about $13 an hour.
And therein lies, I don't want to get too much into this, therein lies some of the cynicism with some of the public employee unions. You're laying people off at $30 an hour and you're hiring them back at $13 an hour. And exactly, that's the cynical response. The reality is, again, they're different job classifications, different framework. And so it's just, to me, this is not a way of solving government's problem. Jobs now should be focusing on solving small businesses' challenges. That's my priority, and nonprofits, government third in terms of priority.
Rob, let me give you an example. The Department of the Environment is going to hire about 100 folks through this program to do energy efficiency outreach and education. So that's something that simply the city did not have
New jobs.
money, right, brand new. Didn't have money to do, and it's a eco-friendly approach and something that, it's, again, creating jobs and doing something that's for the public good.
But you can't hire cops, say, for this.
No, I got you. Yeah. We can lay off 1,000 police officers tomorrow and then hire them all back with federal stimulus dollars, draw down hundreds of millions. We could, in fact, lay off the entire workforce of government. All 30,000 people are gone. 2 months later, it's completely free, subsidized federal dollars. Not a bad idea. That's why there's rules that precludes that. But good thinking, Rob. I like it. KTVU can lay off everyone and hire them all back, federal dollars.
This truck got 100 people and also the 3,000 waiting. What's the ethnic breakdown in the
Great question. Right here.
50 largest breakdown, or largest percentage, African American families. 52% African American. And the rest break down about 15% Latino, Asian, sort of about the same percentage, and Caucasian. I can get you the exact numbers if you want for print.
Yeah, I just wondering, so you're talking about doing the ad campaign, and then I assume that maybe it's going to be in different language.
Culturally competent. You know, we're good about that. So be out, and I'm not sure. I assume Cantonese, not Mandarin, and be certainly in the diverse communities. So yeah, we've got brochures and ads that speak the language of San Francisco, which is many, many different languages.
Already know that, or they have to, you tell them what's going on.
David Shea, where'd you go? See, he ran away, and he was hired to do specifically his outreach. So talk to David in a second, because he'll give you very, very specific details how we're reaching out to the diverse, from the business, ethnic business representatives, as well as diverse outlets in terms of media representation and chamber, Latino chamber, Hispanic chamber. We're doing all those things. We're really being aggressive. And all our business, and to the extent that our roundtables, today you'll see a lot more diversity of small business, nonprofits. We'll bring all the nonprofit, the Human Service Network, and others together. So very diverse outreach.
So you mentioned
this in the larger context of just the impact on unemployment in general in San Francisco, because depending on,
well, I'd love to. We'd love, I think we can, I'd love to be able to, it may not sound like a lot, but I'd love to be able to roll back our unemployment rate by 1%. Now, how do you do that? You got to create, that's closer to 4,000 jobs. You got about 42 to 44,000 people that are unemployed in the city. We're 1,200. So I got 3,000 more jobs. And people may say, oh, that doesn't sound like a lot, 1%. It is a lot. I remember, we're doing better unemployment than almost every other county in the state of California, 9.7%. We have been better off, but I'd love to get that down. And that was always the sort of internal goal, the really the audacious goal. But again, there's nothing stopping us except people knowing about this. And already we have 3,000 people screened. Not every single person is going to be the ideal applicant for a job, 3,500 people, excuse me. So it's not the employees, it's the employers. It's so ironic. That's the bigger challenge, finding people willing to participate in this program and hire.
You mentioned that you can't fire people and hire them back, but then you also said earlier that you could prevent people from getting laid off. How is that different?
Yeah, it's a good point. There's a specific criteria under the WARN Act, W-A-R-N Act. And so there's provisions in that WARN Act that are framed in this that allow for the opportunity to keep people and retain them, that distinguish that process from the process of just doing massive layoffs and then rehiring people. So it's a technical point. Trent lives with these technical points and maybe can explain it better.
The provision not allowing to lay off someone and then hire them right back is really an anti-displacement provision that's in federal law separately. It has to do with replacing one with another for the same job to take advantage of federal money. That's why it's in there. The WARN notices, like the mayor said, that comes out independently of this, and we can go in, and every person who would be eligible, again, you have to have a child, you have to be able to work, and since they already are, it's fine. We go in and save however many we can out of from layoffs.
Why do you have to have it? I mean, especially in San Francisco, there's so
Because, Barbara, this money's flowing through the federal TANF program, Temporary Assistance to Needy Families, which is the national welfare program. So it's targeted to people who are either on welfare or at risk of, and it's the program for families. It's the federal law and rule.
That's why we want to change the rule and extend it to single adults, which would be phenomenal. I mean, then we're just off and running. I mean, we could get 4,000 people overnight. So that's really the push federally in Congress. And again, it's good to have Speaker Pelosi as your local congressional representative. So we're working.
You're talking about the kids. How about someone that has to, raise to pay for their seniors and maybe the parents? Is that considered
18 or younger? Yeah. We have all kinds. And remember, this is not our only job program. So we have all kinds of other job programs. This is just the specific federal subsidy.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Is there
Appreciate
a website with more information?
Website right there, jobsnowsf.org. Jobsnowsf.org.
Also the job list?
Yes. The
Applications.
Looks like we're Chinese.
Thanks.